Hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you for your interest in the course Level Up Your Lighting and Rendering. In today's lesson, we'll be taking a look at how you light a scene in Katana using Renderman. So our focus would be on the GafferThree node. So those of you who know a little bit about film and television or lighting in general, filmmaking, you would know that a gaffer is basically a lighting technician, or he's the person responsible for executing lighting. So in Katana, we have a node named after him that's called GafferThree. The previous one was simple Gaffer, but now it's a legacy node and we don't use it anymore. The GafferThree has a lot of newer functionality and a lot of support for different rendering engines so that you can create lighting and shaders over lighting using the GafferThree node itself. So first let's create a GafferThree node and then we'll start looking at how I lit the scene. So it will be just a basic overview to get you started, and you should test it on a simple scene and then go to a complex one like this robot room scene. So let me just create a GafferThree node quickly. So if I look at its parameters out here on the right, you'd see that we have a section where it tells like what the GafferThree node where it would be placed. So this node, the new one, would be placed in root, world, LGT, that is like light, and Gaffer. So Gaffer in itself is basically like a folder under which all the lights are created. So if you look here on the left on the scene outliner, basically LGT is your light, and then you have like a whole Gaffer under it, which is holding all the different lights. And yeah, that's how you basically see which light is in your scene. So in order to create a new light, you go to the parameter section on the right, you right click, and then you click add. So by default you can add light, but because we're using Renderman specifically, we'll go and create a PRman light, and in there we can choose different types of light. So out here you can use disk, rectangle, sphere, distance. So I won't be going deeply into what each light does because there is whole documentation, different tutorials by Renderman itself, which explain how these lights work and what their purpose is. So like right now in my scene, you can see like I have different types of light already. So if you look at my GafferThree node out here, you can see my eyes is a mesh light, but I also have a dome light for environment basis. I have a bulb. Basically I'm creating meshes in order to give it like the aesthetic feel of a bulb and the filament inside, and then I'm creating it into a mesh light. So let's start by creating one simple light here. So in the GafferThree node here, you can just right click, then add PRman light, and then like let's say we want to create a Pixar rectangle light. So I click that, and let's just view this node specifically. And yeah, if I just focus on there, you see it has created a rectangular light. I can move it because in this one you can have like translate, rotate, and scale options as well active. So this is basically like once you create a light, you'll see like three different parameter, or basically three different sections of parameter appear to you. So right there first is geometry, which is like basically like what the light is looking at. You don't usually change it unless you want very specific look to your light. Then there is transform. You will be messing around with transform because you'll have to place the light differently at different places, and then according to your scene specifically, and then create it like that. Then after that there is like PRman statement. So camera visibility, is it visible to the camera? By default it's not, and I would like you to keep it that way unless there's something very specific shape you want to show which is just visible through light. But mostly you can use textures to do that. So let's just keep the camera visibility off. And then in the viewer, how you want to see it. So you want to see it as a solid or as a wireframe, like what's the big idea? So up to you, totally your preferences on how you like your light to be seen in the viewer. The main thing which controls how light behaves, or like what the light's parameters are, is the material. So when you click on material, you'll already see that the PRman light shader already has like a PRman rectangular light on it, and that has all your basic parameters. It has the intensity, exposure, color. Basically you would like to control the color using temperature, so you can click on enable temperature, and then you have like a whole variety of different range from cold to warm. You can also refine your light because we are using Renderman. Renderman has tons of options which you should explore on lighting, basically controlling your light itself. It has a huge variety of options, such as you can control the specular of a specular provided by a particular light. You can also control the diffuse provided by a particular light. So it has like a big variety of parameters which you can play with and get your perfect look. Similarly, if you want to create more lights, you can go ahead and create another one. Let's say you want to create a daylight system, so you will go ahead and use Pixar environment daylight. Usually people prefer dome light for interior shots because just because for the mounts light you need it, and otherwise for window lights and other stuff you can create it using rectangular light. But environment daylight is also good. If you have big windows and you want to see the environment outside, you can use that, and so on and so forth. For mesh light, if you create a mesh light out here, it has the same parameters, but for the object you would actually need to tell which geometry it should reference in order to create the mesh. So for now we'll just delete it. To delete it, you can right click or just delete. And yeah, that's mostly on how you basically create lights. There's also a parameter out here which is linking. So in the light linking, you can clearly tell like how you want your light to be linked to different objects. For example, in my scene, like I have a few light linking going on. If we look at like different light linkings out here, let's say I would look at lamp. I'm not sure if I used specific light linking on this one. Oh yeah, I did. So in this one, I don't want the light link to be affecting the volumetric box. So basically what I did was like I created a separate box entirely to create volume. So if I look here, and it goes into geo and volumetric box. So if I look at my geo, I'll switch off everything, and yeah, somewhere there should be a volume box, which I'm not sure where it is at the moment. Oh yeah, because you won't be able to see it because in here like there's a variable switch, and out here when I created this whole volumetric system, that's where I created the volumetric box. So Pixar volume, and yeah, there it is. There's the volume box out here. So yeah, coming back to the Gaffer node, because we don't want to go into volume right now, and that's where I place the same box. And what will happen is down the pipeline, when when we'll actually go through the main pipeline out here for the volume scene, that's where the light won't affect the volume. So that's usually one of the more general uses of light linking, where you want like certain lights to show fog or show glow, but you don't want certain lights to show the same thing. So yeah, that's how you basically link your lights. And you just need to add statements. So statements is the same, you add path, collections, or custom. So collection is basically the group, the path is basically direct path. Like for example, this path would be root, world, geo, then primitive 3. So you'll just drag and drop it there. So middle mouse click, drag, and just place it there, and it will be very specific that oh yeah, you want to switch off this light from this. And usually you're switching off the light more than you're switching it on, if that makes sense. So basically you'll have like a general light, and then you'll switch it off depending on how you want it. So yeah, and if you see my entire scene, this has like a bunch of lights going on for itself. But yeah, don't be intimidated by it. So how you basically light is you start with the general tone. So you'll start with what you basically want there. For example, my starting point was the eyes of the character, the dome, the basic bulb lights out here on top and stuff. And then I started refining it, then created a wood fire. Even though you don't see a wood fire, there's something warm coming from the left hand side which is giving it light. There's a lamp. So basically if I focus on lamp, it's like a sphere light behind us, which is giving the pink glow over the lamp. And yeah, basically when you interact with materials, so right now I have clay because I just wanted to give you the general idea of lighting. But basically if you want the overall, you connect your network materials, you create your simple materials, and yeah, then you ignore the variable switch for now. The variable switch is just to control volume, but yeah, that doesn't affect the lighting at the moment. Unless you want to create variables with the lighting. So you'll have different GafferThree nodes, for example 1, 2, and you can have multiple, and then control it with a variable switch. But yeah, that's for later, and I can show you guys if you want how to create variable switches. And yeah, you can just create it, and then you can, like, if you want volume on or volume off, so depending on that, your graph would actually go from this one or it would go from this one, depending on how you place it and how you want your switch to work. But coming back to lighting in general, there's also Ies Lights. So basically I was just like, in the material you can go ahead and link Ies light profiles here, and yeah, it will tell you like, okay, which one how the light will show. So for example, like right now it's not linked properly, so if I go here and yeah, if I restart the render, it should work. So what basically happens is, like, I moved some drive files, and yeah, that created that broke the link. But usually it's like, you have your IES light profile, which is like something like this out here, and yeah, it's a IES 3-lobe umbrella. So you can get a ton of lights from Pixar itself. So if you go here and I type it Pixar Ies Lights, and yeah, in the Renderman resources, and these are not just specifically for Renderman, you can connect your IES lights from, like, if you have this library, you can use other rendering engines to correct if you have this library, you can use other rendering engines to, you have the same profiles, and you can get this. So like 3-lobe was this specific one, 3-lobe umbrella. So this is the light which is being used in my Katana scene, and yeah, it's giving like a beautiful fall off in the back. So if I go back to IES lamp, I think it's IES lamp up, yeah. So if I go into IES lamp up, yeah, it's here, and there it's giving a 3-lobe umbrella kind of lighting. So yeah, you use, like, for architecture or for specific lighting, you use IES lights, and yeah, you can play around with it. You can explore wherever you feel like how the lighting should be and how the lighting should play a role in your scene. And yeah, that's just about how you connect your GafferThree. So basically, yeah, what I usually do for my pipeline is, like, I put the lighting first and then I start with materials, but you can do the other way around. Putting lighting first is better because you have the gray matte cap, and over the gray material you can see like how the lighting is actually, like, influencing it. And then when you add shaders or add materials, you can tweak the materials regarding to the basic lighting you have. But there's a lot of back and forth. You can have multiple GafferThree nodes. So if I have, like, for example, not the info create, sorry. For example, if you want the GafferThree node, and I'd go ahead and directly link it here. So you can, in the parameters, you can also, like, allow the GafferThree node to sync selection. So what will basically happen is, like, any lighting which is coming from top to bottom, for example from this light, can come down, and you can, like, put the lighting there, and basically it would influence the same thing. But yeah, generally I prefer to have just one GafferThree node because, like, more clean, more organized. But if you're working in teams and you want, like, you have like a, let's say, a team leader who would basically light the general aspect of the scene, but then you have, like, junior lighting artist who you want to refine, who you want to basically, like, tell them to, okay, refine this area of the shot. Or if you want, like, specific product placement, and you want, like, okay, this is the specific area, even though you have, like, a whole general environment which is lit by one GafferThree, you can use another one to properly focus on a different section of the scene. So yeah, there is, like, lots of versatility. Yeah, there are a lot of options, but yeah, this is just a primer for you to understand what GafferThree does and how you basically start creating lights. And yeah, then again, just place, size, intensity, all of these are, like, very specific things on controlling the look of your light. But yeah, as you move ahead, as you learn, and the more you will be able to tell a story with just lighting itself. So yeah, with that said, this was a quick video about GafferThree. And yeah, if you guys want some detailed one, or you want, like, how I did the overall lighting for this scene just now, hit me up and I'll be answering your comments down in the comment section, or join my Patreon, and then we can have, like, one-on-one mentorship. I'll be launching a mentorship video or a trailer, like, of one of the students, and yeah, you can see, like, how it's done. And If you want specific lighting instructions, just let me know and I'll create a video about it. Alright then, that's been it, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Cheers, bye.